Hey, what's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today I'm going to watch and review the latest track from Inquisition, and it's called Luciferian Rays. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Alright, let's see what we got going here. It's kind of sorely missing black metal most of 2020. Couple of standouts here and there, but interested to hear from this band. I do have a lot of thoughts on the elephant in the room when it comes to this band, but I'm going to just stick to talking about the music in this particular video. I do love Inquisition's guitar. Like, there's just something about their guitar, you instantly know who it is when you hear it. It's been interesting to see the vocals evolve over time too. So you listen to like their early albums and it's just straight up like frog croaks. And even a couple of albums ago, it's still pretty croaky, but now it's sort of evolved into more of just sort of a traditional black metal vocal with a little bit of that croak still there. Is he wearing a kilt? Or is it just a little dangly thing? Oh, it's just a little thing. So far, really like this. Yeah, just that classic, like, bendy guitar sound that Inquisition always has. Production's really strong. I feel like with every album, their sound just gets fuller and fuller. More atmospheric. And even though, like, the music all sounds evil, it also sounds very sad often, and that's definitely the case here. Very just mournful sounding song. There's even like a little tinge of hope in there. I love that guitar sound. The past is here. A little different, like... Yeah, the vocals are just kind of evolving a little bit. It's interesting. But it's still, you know, Inquisition. A lot of their songs sound very similar. But as far as, like, their particular blueprint, this is kind of the best that I've heard them do, potentially. It's a really strong track. And if you're new here, by the way, people complain, why do you talk over the track the whole time? Why don't you just sit and listen to music? If that's what you really want, just go watch the video. Like, it's right there. Do what I'm doing. I like to do more of a commentary. I feel like that's more appropriate for fair use, and it's just, like, that's what I like to do. Just a little slower part here. I don't know if it's just like they use a lot of bending, or what is it like with their guitar sound? Like, what makes it so special? But every time I hear it, ooh, a little solo here. That's nice. This is really good. This is really good. Defied my expectations, honestly. Yeah, again, like, just comparing this to, like, their early material, it's like night and day. It's almost, like, folky. There's a very, like, naturistic aspect fitting to the music video here. It's very well shot, too. It's got those classic black metal tropes with the mountains and everything, but it's just very beautiful. Looks like it might have been fun to shoot, too, depending on what the weather was like. It's very, like, classic black metal look and sound, but with a modern twist. I'm very pleased. This is great. Man, this just makes me want to be there. Like, have this song playing in my headphones. It's kind of cool too, because you know, the coast here in Oregon there are areas that look actually quite a lot like this. Drums sound nice and full, too. I really love that guitar hook. And that's the other thing about Inquisition that they've gotten better and better at, is implementing those little earworm hook guitar sections that stick with you. Very important if you really want your songs to kind of like linger. So like, despite their overall kind of like, you know, evil, looming, satanic worship kind of vibe, they understand that you still have to be sort of catchy, to say the least, in some ways to make your mark. We'll say I feel like the song probably could have ended like right there, because we're kind of just repeating the same thing. I know a lot of black metal bands like that. Black metal fans seem to really enjoy that. I don't. I feel like concise and brevity is always better. It would be, if they were doing something different here, I'd feel differently, but it's the same thing. Some people say you can't have too much of a good thing, but I beg to differ. Honestly, I've heard plenty of songs that if they were like, you know, a minute or two shorter, they'd be better. A little like organ outro here, kind of. So like organ mixed with synth. I will say this mask is very Halloween mask look. So serious, mysterious. Solid. Very solid. Good. Awesome. So again, that was Inquisition with Luciferian Rays, and it's from their upcoming album via Agonia Records. And what did I think of it overall? I really enjoyed it. One of the standout metal singles I've heard in 2020, honestly. Like, I could potentially put it in like a top 10, even though it's the end of the year. There have been years that have been very strong for black metal. Like, I'm thinking in particular, I feel like my top 10 for like 2017, 2018 were pretty black metal heavy, but this year, not so much. But this track is excellent. So putting it to my scales, in terms of musicianship, it's always hard rating some of these bands because like I try to reserve the higher scores for like more technical stuff, and this definitely isn't a very technical song. But within the realm of like kind of black metal musicianship, I might still give it like a 9. Like, it's well composed. It has those hooks that are so important that I talked about. For enjoyability, I give it probably like a 9. I could almost give it a 10, but again, if they had cut it like a minute earlier, I would have given it a 10. But I did, whenever I start to get that feeling of like, okay, we're kind of done and it takes me out of the song, it's hard for me to still give it a perfect score at that point. So I think a 9 is fair there. And then in terms of innovation, I give them an extra point. I give them an 8. I give them more than just the usual kind of average 7, just because for Inquisition, I do feel like this is a slight evolution of their song in terms of the vocals in particular, but even just the overall atmosphere and songwriting. So we're looking at like a 998, so like an 8.7, solid B plus for this track. Really enjoyable stuff. Interested to hear the rest of the album, but let me know now down in the comments, what did you think of this track? What's your favorite black metal song that you've heard in 2020 so far? And hey, just stick around because I got plenty more videos coming right after this one. Not just these track reviews, but also full album reviews, tier lists, interviews with the band on the podcast. You name it, we've got it. So plenty of reasons to stick around and subscribe if you've not already. In the description, you can find links to our social media where you can follow us. The email newsletter sent out personally every Friday, metaltrenches.com, for even more reviews and content, and our Patreon and Subscribe Star if you want to take that extra step to becoming a full-on supporter. Just $1 a month gets you early access to content and helps me keep this train a-rolling. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.